Your lifestyle.
Happy Valentine's.
Hey everybody, it's CJ Graham, Jason Voorhees. That's right, Friday the 13th, Part 6. And you're listening to thescenesnobs.com.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snob interviews, and today I am joined by filmmaker Brandon Keenan, whose movie Body Farm is out, and it's the stuff of nightmares. So I am going to explore why any filmmaker would actually want to touch down on this particular horrifying events. Brandon, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
When I say this is stuff of nightmares, I like locked up, but especially experiments, stuff like that. You read about it, like, you know, it's been part of stories and lore for a long time. And man, of course, you had to go and make a movie that's even more terrifying.
For me, true horror films that scare me are things that can actually happen. Don't get me wrong, I love slasher films. You know, I'm a huge Leatherface guy. I love all that stuff. But when something can actually happen, it's, to me, that's the most terrifying. The idea of being taken at your will and forced to do or have something happen to you, whatever it is, it's terrifying to me. So I wanted to touch that in this film, and I feel thus far it's been pretty well received. And you know, the parts that make people cringe make you, you know, the first time we ever showed the movie, I remember that feeling and seeing people in their chairs just being like, "Oh, no way!" You know, that's I kind of like that for whatever reasons. That's my thing in horror films.
I gotta tell you, man, and the gore looked really good, man. Really well done. So everybody knows, and everybody. So Body Farm came out in 2018. You were the writer, director, and star and producer.
Correct. Yes.
So, man, you're pulling.
That wasn't something I wanted to do per se. I didn't want all of those. You know, the acting portion wasn't even something that happened until we started, like right before we were about to start filming. I wanted to be behind the camera as much as I could, and you know, got my feet wet with literally everything. But I'm not the only one. There were so many people that had different jobs. You know, of our 75-person crew, everybody did at least 3 jobs. So that's indie filmmaking.
You know what, though? That's a great of you to say, because, you know, sometimes that doesn't come up, and, you know, but you're giving the credit where the credit is due, and that is awesome. That's
This whole movie is not, I mean, you might be interviewing me, but there's so many people involved. the aspects of production, which I had never done a big movie before in my life. And I'm like, let's just try this. Let's just do it. And all these people around me, I surrounded myself with people that were so good at their craft. And they helped me, with everything, every aspect of it. I didn't even know what a China ball looked like, if that puts it into perspective. There were things that were coming off the production trucks that I'm like, I don't understand what any of this is. Like, okay, we'll show it to you as we get this in here.
That's awesome.
Learning those sort of things. I know how to edit, but when it came to setting up scenes and stuff, it was a learning experience. Now, fast forward 2021, I use it in my everyday life when it comes to filming. I shouldn't say everyday life, but in my work life, everything I learned from that set or those sets, I'm using today in my film production company. So.
That's amazing. Well, let's go back real quick, because I know you said in 2007, that's where Body Farm kind of came into fruition,
correct,
especially with the writing.
Yeah.
So wearing all of these different hats, can you tell us like kind of the roadmap of like your feelings or mentally how you had to prepare when you put on each hat along the way? Sure.
So to go the whole way back to where it first started in 2007 was when I was like really into just writing scripts. I just wanted to it was great to be able to create something on paper and just kind of go with it. And I had someone come to me and say, have you ever heard of a body farm? And I'm like, no, I've done it. I'm thinking to myself, using people to harvest organs and do all this crazy stuff. Right. And then I started thinking, was it like a zombie thing? Like, no, this is a real facility, and there's one in Tennessee. You should check it out. So I do some research on it and find out that it is a place where you can donate your body to science, and they study human decomposition, like from the grossest of grossest. I mean, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, you could really do something cool with this if written the right way. And I was thinking to myself, like, there are so many situations lately where, like in China, I think it was in China, they were holding inmates there and using their bodies for, organs and things like that on the black market. And it all came down to like blood types and things like that. And because certain people could only have, this is what I had researched, at least, that there was certain people would qualify and not qualify according to blood types and, your current body condition. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, you could really do something cool with this. So I just started writing, and I wrote the whole script that based it around, a facility that studies human decomposition. And fast forward to 2018, where we had our premiere at the Oaks Theater, and it was probably one of the coolest experiences of my life. Being in front of people and seeing all of these people that came to support us, including my cast and crew. And I'm like, this is it. Like, this is from 2007, 11 years later, I'm looking at it. I'm getting chills now. Like, it's the most rewarding feeling in the world to know that you can put on some sort of entertainment in front of someone like this, especially if you love films. That's really what it boils down to for me is filmmaking. I love making movies. It's so fun. And it's awesome. I'm rambling now about it because I love to talk about it. But it started as a script, and we started shooting in 2015. And we were just going to do the first 12 pages. And we did the first 12 pages. We're like, well, why don't we just keep going? And my co-director, Nick LaMantia, said to me, like, we can do this. Let's just slowly but surely. We're not on a time frame. We don't have to have it done right away. It's just a passion project. We'll just keep chiseling away at it. So that's what we did. And it ended up being that the actors that we put in the first 12 minutes, we didn't really know if it wasn't really the plan to put them in the whole film. It was just like, hey, we're going to do the first 12 pages to see if we can get money to make the whole movie. And we do the first 12 pages, and it's like, well, we're just going to keep going. So you're playing this character for the rest of the movie. It happened to me too, playing the character, because I was like, look, I'll just play the role of Eric, and for these 12 pages, no big deal. And as we just kept shooting, we just, okay, let's do this, and we made the movie. So, and it's
and that's awesome, because Nick LaMantia, you said he's been your partner on this, as co-director, producer, and I think he was also a star in the movie, wasn't he?
He was. He is a really well-known actor in Pittsburgh, and he's been doing acting. Now, him and I have known each other since we were really young, and I would say probably almost 20 years. And we have both. I got into acting first, and then by the time he graduated college, he got into it as well. And he got a lot of different parts and different roles, and he learned production more than I did. I started my own video production company doing smaller stuff. And bringing him in, we've always wanted to work on a movie together. And, it kind of came together. He's produced and directed a bunch of short films and worked on a lot of features. and this was the one that we just wanted to do. He's not even a big horror film enthusiast, but he's a filmmaker. And he was my eyes for a lot of those shots. I was working with the actors directly because I obviously wrote all that dialogue. So it was kind of coaching them along and those sort of things. So we kind of worked perfectly together when it came to a direction team.
That's awesome that you say that. And I kind of getting into that too. When two people come together, I mean, it's two different kind of, visions really. What did you guys do to kind of marry the two visions and be able to coexist while directing this?
I think a lot of it boiled down to locations, and Nick had all of these places that he had in mind, and he would show them to me and he'd be like, we can make this work. We can make this diner work. It's not a diner, but we're going to make it a diner. We have, the West Virginia State Pen. That sold itself. It was like we had all these things that kind of came together. And one thing that when we started shooting, he was like, we can do this. And I kept that mentality. I'm like, we can do this. We got this. We have the right people involved with us, helping us. We can get through this and make a great picture in a great movie. And that's what it was. We didn't step on each other's toes. We didn't have disagreements. Nick and I aren't those kinds of people. We don't act that way towards one another when it comes to like frustration and things like that. There's times where he knew when I would get really frustrated, and he handled me really, really well. And he knows, like, we don't have arguments. It's just kind of, look, Brandon, we got this. We can do this, And that was kind of the mentality of the entire film. And it was awesome. I mean, I'm excited because I'm just itching to do it again one day.
That is awesome. So yeah, actually going with that, like you're going forward to this year, you're going to be at FearCon 10, right?
Correct. Yes.
That's awesome. So is this your first, especially with the year that is 2020, is this your first convention where you brought in as a guest, or have there been more?
Yeah, we were supposed to do a bunch of them obviously this year, but given COVID and this whole coronavirus situation, it's obviously changed a lot of things. So this will be the first one. We're super excited and pumped up about it. It's an opportunity to get ourselves out there. That's been the hardest part, is everybody's cooped up. I have no way of meeting and greeting people and talking to them and saying, look, check out my film. This is me. This is who I am. And this is the movie that we made. And that's the hardest part. We're super pumped and excited for it. We're going to get to show the movie there. I do believe we're showing the movie there. I don't want to quote anything just in case. So we're excited about it. It's going to be a blast. And the plan moving forward is hopefully we can make a sequel and continue our filmmaking careers, because that's really making films is the most rewarding, awesome feeling. It's just once you get a little taste of it, you can't help it.
So I don't want to give anything away. I don't want any spoilers on Body Farm or anything. I want everybody to go check it out, because it is available for everybody. It's on VOD, so you can go check it out. But I do want to, like, a sequel. Mm-hmm. If we can just touch down on it, what does a sequel look like for you to this movie?
Well, without giving away too much, for us, I definitely want to have the budget for the sequel is much, much bigger. It's at that bigger indie film range. Ours was super low budget, ultra low budget, I guess they call it. This one will be a little higher. You want to bring in a bigger name actor that can play the main role. And it allows me to be able to sit behind the camera and work as a director more than just being in front of it. Plus, I can't stand looking at my face on film. The one thing about making movies, my nose is just, I realized how broken my nose was. And, these close-up shots that are like, a lot of that feel we got in the movie with doing the close-up shots, you see the details of your face more than you ever, wanted to see it, especially with those kind of cameras. But the sequel, though, I want to just, up the budget so you can get some better talent. Not that our talent was bad by any means, because in the film, we do want to bring that back from the first film, but you won't have to see the first movie to see the sequel. And that's how I have it written, so that you can just pick right up and it'll be its own entity. It's still around the Body Farm, which the Body Farm is the central focus of the entire movie and what they do there. And it's a state-of-the-art facility. And in the first film, we didn't show, in my opinion, there's so much more to it. And I feel in a sequel, we can finally unleash, what this entire facility is, doing and how they're operating on a day-to-day basis. You see a little bit of it, obviously, in the first movie, but we were, with budget, there was only so much that you can do. With a bigger budget and a bigger opportunity with funds like that, you can, build more sets. You can, afford better equipment and gear and bring in some top-notch talent that is able to carry your film. Not that our crew couldn't do that, but you need to learn and you need to evolve as a filmmaker. And the only way to do that is working with more people around you, surrounding yourself with people that know what they're doing and are very good at their craft, and they can make you better just by learning from them.
That's amazing advice, and I thank you for saying that, because a lot, I have talked to a lot of producers, talked to a lot of different filmmakers, and I started out in filmmaking. I was a producer, and my biggest thing, especially even doing this and running the Scene Snobs, because we're a full-fledged network, so we have 26 shows. We have there's always people I'm working with. So for me, I've always said I'm only as good as the very talented people I have around me.
That's exactly right.
And filmmaking is a collaboration. You don't hear that enough, so it's awesome to hear you say that.
You hear Martin Scorsese. He's amazing. Don't get me wrong. That's no discredit, but he does surround himself with great people. And Quentin Tarantino is the same way. He brings in the people that he likes to work with because they make him a better director. I personally just want to keep learning and evolving as a filmmaker. And my job gives me the chance, because I run a video production company, and it gives me the chance to be able to learn new camera gear and things like that, but not on the big filmmaking scale where you have a 75-person crew, with production trucks and all that stuff. I like to just stand back sometimes and watch movie sets do their thing. And just like when I was in New York City, I was just looking and watching these production trucks for, I forget which movie was shooting. And I wasn't a part of it. I was just there, in town, and I just was watching, and I was just completely, it just took me in. I was like, I want to keep doing this. I wish that I could keep doing this, but hopefully in time, I'll keep growing as a filmmaker and I'll keep getting those opportunities. But I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with, and I got to work hard to keep making good connections. And that's the plan. Because of that attitude, I know you will.
Absolutely, man. And so I'm excited to hear about, hear you get into Body Farm too. So, but we have a lot of filmmakers, and especially indie filmmakers, we're very supportive of indie filmmaking in a whole here on the Scene Snobs. We want to see everybody succeed, especially at their dreams. But I try to ask all of the filmmakers that come on, different questions to maybe help those filmmakers learn something.
Sure.
Now, for you, you wrote a movie, you filmed it, and now you're looking to the sequel. So I want to get into that sequel mentality, if that's all right.
Sure.
Just entering back in. Now, from a filmmaking standpoint, you're thinking bigger, you're thinking with a bigger budget, because now you have the understanding of how budgets work.
Right.
How what you will need now on set in terms of crew, things like that. Mm-hmm. How does that, where does your mentality change as you're writing it? To start there,
great question. A lot of writers will put together a 3-act structure. I don't really operate on that. I mean, in the end, it's put together as a 3-act structure. Don't get me wrong. But when I start writing, I just kind of give myself little plot points and little things, and I don't just start typing away and just rolling along. I put together kind of like a mini outline of just little things that I really like as far as what I want in the movie, and I kind of make those little seeds happen, and then some of them will grow into something and some of them don't in my mind. But when I start writing, I listen to old score albums for horror films and things like that. I'll be at the gym or I'll go for a run or something, and you start getting the gears rolling a little bit, and you start thinking about that character, and you start thinking about the effects of what that is in your script, of what they go through. And the effects that has on that character. So when I'm writing the sequel to Body Farm, I'm thinking about, well, what could give you that whoa moment, or that is really cool, or that's really neat, or oh man, that's gross, and you think about this thing, you say, well, how can I do that and put it with a big budget? What if I had $1 million to do this? Could I take $200,000 and create this structure that I wanted to do? Could I have that big name actor for this part in the movie? And seeing him deliver those lines and feel him delivering those lines, and you're thinking about it, and you think about the other movies that he's been in, and or she's been in, and those are all the things that kind of get it going, get the creative juices flowing. And then I just start typing away. Like I wrote Body Farm 2, which I penned it Decompose for right now. I wanted to change it up a little bit. The idea of a rotting corpse, decomposed. But I did that though on a couple of plane trips, because I had to go to Texas as well as South Carolina for a couple of film gigs. And I hate to fly. It's just the one thing I don't like to do. And the way I can get away from it is when I start typing away and start writing scripts. And I probably punched out at least 50 to 60 pages on those 2 flights. And then I got home and I ended up getting COVID-19. And it's the one thing about COVID-19 is it's an emotional roller coaster. You have like moments where you're like, I feel fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And then the next day you're like, oh my God, my head it feels like it's going to split in half. But the one thing I can say is I finished this script when I was sick with COVID-19, because the emotional part of it really just got me into it, like to the point where by the end of writing the script, I was in tears. And I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do. Like, this is what I want. Like, it got me there. And I don't want to sit here and say that COVID-19 was a blessing. I don't. But there's that part of it that happened that I'm like, wow, like it got me that motivation and got me over that step to finish up the script and make it, and I still has to go through rewrites, don't get me wrong, but I got a finished product in front of myself that I can read and say that I wrote the whole thing and I have it there ready to go. So I don't know if that answers the question, but it's a detailed one, because I like to ramble a lot. My girlfriend.
No, I love that. And thank you for saying that. But also, I'm so glad you're all right and you're recovered from COVID.
Yes.
And that's a big thing. And like, I kind of understand that mentality. I mean, I think anybody does that understands like trying to achieve something. Like you started writing the script while traveling, while working, and you get sick. And of course, like you're kind of, especially with the year that we had, like you had to finish this. Like it was like that was motivation. And
yeah, it was. That was what it was. It was just, for whatever reasons, I'm like, I have to finish this. I have to do this now. And, even if nothing were to ever come of it, I can always look back on it and say, well, I wrote a script, and that's part of the filmmaking process. It's so rewarding to, anybody that wants to be a filmmaker, you can just start by getting a pen and paper and start writing ideas down, and, pick up a camcorder, whatever it is, you can make your own stuff. I get you don't have budgets and it'd be great to have millions of dollars. Listen, I'd love that, but I've never had that opportunity. And I don't have that kind of a bank account, that's for sure. So, for future indie filmmakers, study and learn and just start writing and start, learning the craft of making movies. I encourage people, because I'm sure there are so many people out there that, that are so much more skilled and we have opportunities with these people that if they get themselves involved, they can be a huge part and a huge asset to other companies and to other productions. The special effects people that we had for Body Farm worked for pennies. Actually, some of them worked for nothing, now that I'm thinking about it. But they had all of the knowledge. They went to Tom Savini's school, and they had all this knowledge that I knew nothing about. And they're so much more skilled when it comes to making gory, gross stuff than I ever was. So yeah, again, I'm rambling again, but no,
I love hearing it though, and it's great stories. So this is, you were talking about writing the script and like, getting it finished, and now switching to the director's cap.
Mm-hmm.
Have you started, drawing up your storyboard, shot lists, anything like that to kind of prepare mentally for it?
From a direction standpoint, not yet. I've more started with a producer standpoint, putting together an official budget, getting a pitch deck put together to pitch to investors, and all of those little things as a producer before I feel like I could be an official director to it. I'm also, open to talking and listening. I feel like as a director, it's you can think about all your shots and you can start drawing things up and stuff like that. But I will say one thing, I am no artist when it comes to doing drawings and stuff like that. So Nick does a lot of that. So he would probably, I'm hoping he'll be wanting to co-direct with me. I assume he is. And him and I've discussed it. We definitely want to go that route. But he does all the drawing though, a lot of the storyboards and stuff like that. This time I'd like to get a little more involved when it comes to some of the shots, because I've learned a little more in the last 5 years about filmmaking. And, to put on the director's hat though, I feel like once I know that the movie is a lock to get made, that's when I feel like the director's hat will go on for me. For right now, I'm still in that writer producer moment, I guess. But don't get me wrong. There's always times where you're sitting thinking about, this shot. Like I have in the new movie, I've got this one structure that I really want to have built, and it has some symbolism to it, and so there are those, and I think about like the shots that I would really want with the actors, there on set. And so we'll see. I'm hoping that we can get the movie made.
See, I have a lot of respect for directors and writers, and so and I used to work as a script editor and write as well. But when I went to film school, and this is not for anybody watching, this is not me saying go to film school. You have to go to film school. That's not how this works. I just happen to go. If you want to go. If not, that's fine too. Just get into it. But I did go to film school, and one of the benefits I had there was everybody goes in saying, I'm going to be the next writer director. And I came out, and so many other people came out too, and we realized what we wanted to do. What the actual position, because now we know all of the positions, we worked through them all. Mm-hmm. And I walked out and I was like, no, man, it's like directing. Yeah, that's fine. I want to produce.
Yeah.
Especially line produce. I loved working on budgets. I love scripting. Something if you told me before I walked in, this is what you're going to enjoy doing, I would have probably been like, no, you're insane. But like, that's what I enjoy.
The next big director. Come on.
Exactly. Right. But I mean, so for you having, you were different in the sense that like you were thrust into this position of producing to get your movie made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was my film school. I didn't really, I went to the University of Pittsburgh and I did media communications, which we had some stuff at Pittsburgh Filmmakers that we could take some courses there, but nothing really taught me like, I'm sure you probably came out of film school and know more than I do today. I learned Body Farm was my film school. I mean, it really was. It's where I learned how I literally picked up books, and I have some here in my office that are just like first time directing and things like that.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. First time filmmaker, and all that sort of stuff. It was a film school for myself. And if you ask me right now, what do I want? If I wanted to work in movies, what would I want to do? I would just say I'm a filmmaker. Whatever my asset is that can make a film production better, I want to do it. And if that means getting somebody a cup of coffee, so be it. But, obviously nobody works for free. I want to make a living doing it, and I want to live comfortably. But that's really it for me. I've directed, I've edited a whole movie, I've written a whole movie. I'm like, I've had the chance to do all those little things. Well, I shouldn't say little things, all those things. And it's a learning experience. I now have a great deal of respect for people that are line producers. I didn't know anything about what a line producer even did. Every day is a learning experience, and it was awesome. Again, I'm itching to do it again. I'd love to produce again, but time will tell.
And I have no doubt that you will. For me, it's so awesome to hear, and and I love that you had the other side of that story where I was saying like you don't have to go to film school, just do it, and you did. That was your film school, being on set. I've learned more just being on set than anything else. Mm-hmm. And you gain. It's just an experience, and itself, and
taking other people's knowledge, like one of our, and we had all different jobs, but Tim Roberts was my camera operator, my my AC, my DP. I mean, he did everything, and I learned more from him than I ever imagined. And this kid's 5. I shouldn't say kid; he's an adult. He's 5 years younger than I am. I actually taught him when I was in high school playing goalie. He was a goalie as well, and I actually trained him when we were younger. You learn so much from people on set, and I could probably sit and pick your brain for an hour and learn so much just because of what you've done. If you treat everybody with respect and you learn to be a better person when it comes to making movies and in life in general, it's a wonderful thing to me, and I hope and pray that I can continue to do this and continue to learn and hone my craft. So
you will. I know it. I know it. You will. You have that drive. And so we're going to switch up gears a little bit, because the way I like to do it is like where we get towards the end of the interview. Give me some fun questions, because I know you're a movie fan. I can tell it. And I like to, kind of get into that portion of it. But before we get there, you had mentioned before I wrote this is many, many moons ago. Like, I don't even want to think back how long ago this was. I was writing a horror movie. I was commissioned to write a horror movie, and standard cabin in the woods stuff, so nothing major.
Okay.
But I took a lot of time. At the time I was living in Los Angeles, I was walking around, and I would walk past the Halloween house, the Nightmare on Elm Street house, or right on the same block, just to kind of like feel those creative juices.
I didn't even know that. Same learning.
Oh, yeah, they're right across the street from each other.
That's so cool.
It's crazy, like, and it's just like one quick block, like right there. It's so awesome. But for you said you were listening to a lot of scores, horror movie scores for Body Farm.
Yes.
Like, first off, what scores were you listening to? Because as soon as you said that, I was like, what is he listening to? I can't wait to hear it.
Well, I mean, for me, Charlie Clouser is levels. For me, he's levels above. I would give anything to have him be able to score one of my movies. He does all of the Saw films. He did Dead Silence. I think he did one of the Resident Evils as well. He's just, the way he puts it together is unbelievable. And it's so cool because it's just certain death scenes. It's the way I don't even know what it is that he's using specifically, but I'd love to just see him, at work doing his thing, because he's fantastic. I just listening like to the Dead Silence, soundtrack, and just listening to it and going through, like, not thinking about the actual movie Dead Silence, but thinking about your own movie and like what's happening. Like I have in the new movie, and I'm not giving away much, but one of the characters is running across a field, and sprinting away from obvious danger. And it's like you listen to the certain scores that come about in the movie, and like you can hear it picking up, and you can think about that. And then all of a sudden it's like, that character's running and he steps on something, so those, for me, Charlie Clouser is the guy that I just love listening to his stuff. Can't say that enough. His first score with Saw is unbelievable. You can't beat that theme song. To me, that is the top one that I just love. And like I said, if I could get a chance to work with that guy, that would be a dream come true one day. I'd probably have to channel my inner fanboy in some capacity, But yes, to also answer and Decompose, I kind of put him in the budget as a potential.
That's amazing.
But my guy that did my score for Body Farm is also incredible. But he's working for All Elite Wrestling now. And he is so busy. His career has taken off fivefold. He's amazing. And I'm a big wrestling fan. Nice. And I'm going to actually be watching AEW tonight on pay-per-view. And he does all their music for them. And he's fantastic. He did an awesome job with our score. So, and I listen to our score for Body Farm as well when I'm like thinking about, the sequel and stuff like that. So
that is so awesome. And that's a great choice. I mean, I can't even get over. And now when you say AEW, I didn't know he was working for them. They have great musical, intros, everything else. Like,
yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. And he does a lot of the music background stuff for like their vignettes and stuff like that. Not just their entrance themes, but he's doing stuff that is such a big scale now. Again, I'm lucky to have had the chance to work with Mikey. And that's not, I wouldn't say that if Mikey's available for a sequel, you better believe I'm bringing him right back. So awesome. There's a good chance that he's probably going to be so busy that, I'm probably chump change compared to what he's doing now with AEW and the success that he's having. So.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you, and you have a good time on set. You have a good time with the people you work with. It's never about like what the money is. So
that's true too. That's very true. Yeah.
I got no doubts. Like, but I'll tell you, man. That's really awesome. Like, Saw has such a visceral feel to the song and to the music, but at the same time, like there's something clean about it too. Like, and it's
right.
Iconic.
Yeah, and even like movies like Silence of the Lambs too. I mean, that's another great soundtrack. I'm honestly not 100% sure who the composer was, but that kind of like sincere feel to it. And Mikey did that for us a little bit too in Body Farm. There's the portion of the film where it's kind of like that. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me, and like you feel for that character, and you get those music. Like the music actually gives you that feel. You might be shooting it, and when we're filming it, trying to make yourself cry or make yourself upset is one thing to shoot, but it's nothing without that score over it. It's nothing without those dramatic moments of audio that you have that brings it all together.
That's so awesome, man. To kind of get into it, like, since you are a horror fan, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
Well, these are still my old DVDs. Hostel was one that I remember the first time seeing it in the theater, and me and my cousin went, and he looked at me and goes, "We got to go to Amsterdam, man. This is amazing." And mid-movie, he goes, "We're never going to Amsterdam ever. We're never going to do that." And Hostel was one that really had you like gripping your seat going, "Oh, that's not happening right now," and you have those gory moments. And, is the story, Eli Roth is an amazing director. In my opinion, he knows how to, I don't know if you've seen Green Inferno, but yeah. I mean, my girlfriend and I watched it when we first started dating, and she just looks at me and goes, This was the one you picked?" I'm like, "Well, he's really a good director, I swear." It was beautifully shot. Don't get me wrong. And I studied up on that film too, but that was one that really, I thought that one really, went pretty far. Maybe that's torture porn. That's the thing for some people. They like to see the gore. But yeah, the Saw films are obviously great. I have one of the dolls from the film. I don't know if you can see him here.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I love Saw. I love, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, both the original and some of the remakes. Those were all great. In fact, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was probably what really got me excited about horror films. I started watching that, and then I was really into like those indie horror films. And I'm like, even if they look terrible, I'm like, I get what you're trying to do. I get the story. I like that. And then, watching, like I said, let me see. Oh, the movie Slither was really good. I'm just looking.
Oh, yeah.
That I have on here, but yeah.
Everyone you've mentioned so far, you can see the influence on Body Farm.
Yeah, there's little parts and pieces from every movie that I'm like, I like that. I like this. I like that. And, not that I'm trying to copy anything.
I just mean like the look, the style, the feel, like you can tell. And like and again, there's nothing wrong with influences. Like there are filmmakers who flat out steal movies that are foreign movies that were influenced them.
That's true. Yeah. I wanted to kind of take my own ideas and feelings and emotions, put it into that kind of a movie. But then, as I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I see where the influences are. The organs and things like that. You get some really disgusting stuff in my film, but there's good story there too. I feel the first 5 minutes of the film, it hooks people in with the gruesomeness of it. It is an indie film. It's not going to look like a Steven Spielberg movie. We just didn't have that budget. It just wasn't possible. But it still gives you all of the gross stuff. And I remember the day we came out of our premiere, and a guy came up to me, I forget who it was a friend of mine. And he just said, this is like a real movie, like legit movie. I thought it was going to be like with a handy cam and like, we were going to be like, "Oh, nice job, man. Okay, we'll see you later." He's like, no, this looks like it's a real film. It's you really did make a movie. And I'm like, that was the most rewarding feeling, because I wanted to make sure that it didn't seem like it was, somebody picked up a handy cam and just hit the record button and they put it in front of 300 people and said, "Hey, I made a movie." Not that you can't do that. That Blair Witch happened, and not that was that cheap of a budget, but still you can do that and make it work. But I wasn't like a laughing stock,
Yeah, no. Listen, you made a fantastic movie.
Thank you.
I'm not a huge gore guy. Well, I can't even say that, because even all the movies that you named that were your influences, I still really like. Well, Green Inferno, man. Your movie plays on my fears. What do you think Green Inferno does? Yeah,
that's all of a sudden you just get taken by a tribe and drawn and quartered, and
yeah,
it's like on so many levels. But that's what Eli Roth wanted to do, and mission complete. Because I bet you he's probably making a little money off of it, because people are ready to buy in. People like that stuff.
Yeah, I am so excited, man. I got one more question for you, because I asked this for of everybody, because and I always get different answers, so I'm always excited for it. Top 5 remote dropper movies. It's on TV. You drop the remote and you're watching it.
Top 5. Oh boy, that's tough. I could name 30 films. Goodfellas, guaranteed. If Reservoir Dogs were on, but it's never on. But if Reservoir Dogs were on, I'd be like, gotta stop, what I'm doing, I gotta watch this. Jurassic Park. I mean,
Great choice.
Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters. I am a diehard Ghostbusters fan. I have an entire room dedicated to Ghostbusters. Probably Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one. And I could name anything Scorsese does. That's a great question. If I had there's so many
choices though. Those are fantastic.
Tarantino. I mean, any of those movies, but I would say Ghostbusters probably is my number one, because every time I'm like, I see it on TV. I guess it's because I feel like I'm watching it with people because I know it's on. It's being broadcast. That seems weird, maybe, I don't know, but yeah. And Goodfellas is up there. I've The Godfather. I feel like is always one of those are always on midway, and I'm like, I need to start these from the beginning to watch them.
Yeah, why can it never just be like the credits and then you're like, all right, here we go.
Exactly. So yeah, that would be my. I probably gave you 10, but
nothing wrong with that. I always take more. I just I give everybody the option of 5. Like I've recently found out that like my new one, well, Back to the Future is always my number 1.
Yeah, that's great too. Yeah, absolutely.
That's on. I always watch it. It's my favorite movie of all time, so I stick with it. But I found that anytime A Few Good Men is on.
Yeah, that's another great one. Top Gun's another one. Just certain films, that and I don't know if it's, for me, sometimes it takes me back to that time when I was a kid and I watched it. And I noticed that in my life, a lot of those things, I'm like, I'm resorting back to my childhood a lot of times here. I'm like, there's certain movies that I watched, and I'm like, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Great movie.
Terrified me. But I remember it, and I'm like, I watch it again. I'm like, it's still creepy to me. The first Friday the 13th movie, when Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed, I'm like, as a child, which I can't believe I was able to get my hands on watching that VHS tape with my friend, and it terrified me that I was guaranteed I was going to die by Freddy Krueger getting me in my dreams, and I was in my own bed and shoot me out with a bunch of blood. So.
I'll tell you, a lot of it for me, when it comes down to like must watches and stuff like that, especially horror, those late night, like I'm a big Joe Bob fan. I was Monster Vision all the way. Like I discovered movies from that man right there, every Saturday night. And, so like the big slashers, stuff like that, like that's always been like my forte, like getting into, not from a filmmaking standpoint, but from like just a movie watching. But there's putting them on DVD is one thing, but like you had said, like kind of brings you back to your childhood. I think when I watch them on TV, that's when I really get that nostalgia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something about it, like when I know that like because Ghostbusters will play sometimes on certain channels, like sometimes Comedy Central will have it. And like it just, for some reason, it takes me right back to when I was that kid, and I enjoyed it and enjoyed the world. Not necessarily as an adult, but as a child, you don't have any worries. I mean, at least I didn't. I felt like I had this movie in front of me, and it was just like you could just see the characters. Like Dan Aykroyd is just so great, and like that made me start loving Dan Aykroyd and watching his movies. And like I don't know, that is the one thing about film, though. You can move people. You can make them feel what you're feeling through moving picture. And to me, that is just the most precious, rewarding feeling. And the idea that I can do that for possibly as a living someday, that's the best of all worlds. My mom said when I was a little boy that if I didn't have a job where I could play every single day, I'd never be happy. And that's when in 2006, I created a video production company where I get to play every day. I get to shoot and film stuff. I get to, like, next week I'm filming several different locations. I'm like, I get to do these little things where I'm playing and creating content and creating art every day. It's awesome. Anybody that wants to start a business in video, go for it. Just do it. Don't even think about it.
I love that. That is an amazing sentiment. And I appreciate you so much for coming on the show. I had such a great conversation with you.
Absolutely. Man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You are always welcome back on. Again, we have tons of shows. We're always talking movies in some way.
Oh yeah, I can BS all day long. I love talking film and movies. So if you ever need a guest to chat more, I'd be happy to come on anytime. And as Body Farm continues to evolve and get in front of more people, I hope and pray that my film career, as well as yours, continues. Maybe someday down the line we can work together.
Yeah, that would be amazing, man. And I love it. And everybody needs to go check out Body Farm because it is it's a perfect representation of what horror is. So go watch it, and it scares the hell out of me. So that's for sure.
Thank you.
Brandon, thank you so much for being on the show today. Everybody, head over to the Scene Snobs social media, or in the description here below. You can have links to go check out Body Farm. It's available on VOD. But also head over to thescenesnobs.com. Check out any one of our shows. Follow us on social media at The Scene Snobs. And yeah, until next time, thanks very much, Brandon, and thank you all for watching.
Much appreciation.
And that's our show, everybody. Thanks for listening. I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. We always appreciate you guys tuning in and commenting along and everything else. Go check out this show or any of our other shows on thescenesnobs.com. Thescenesnobs.com. We love you. You guys are awesome. And if you would like, follow and subscribe to our social media. That really goes